Welcome into episode 85 of JD's Empire Sports Talk, a Christmas episode, of course, because Christmas is 2 days away. Very exciting time of the year. A lot going on in this episode. We're going to do the usual NFL, MLB, NBA. NBA will bring back this week just because, there was no live stream before. Some NHL, college football. We'll do our continue our bowl updates because there's a few games to update in terms of not the CFP, other games as well. So we'll give love to every single team that is playing and participating in the bowl games. Then we'll do how you doing at the end. And then I dropped in the comments section, drop your favorite Christmas movies because we're going to talk about those later on. Biggie will not be with us tonight, but he sent me his list of his top 5 Christmas movies, and I made mine. And we are a little different. We have some of the same names in there, but different orders, I would say. The top is a little different, though. I'll tell you that. And I have a particular movie I like the most, so that's why I have that. And then our pick'em. We're gonna do the two night games of Christmas, just because the NFL slate. When we get into that, you'll see why it was just not a good slate to pick from on Christmas. Which I think when they originally decided to do this, they were like, "Oh, these are gonna be pretty good games on Christmas." You think of Broncos Chiefs, pretty good game. You think of Lions Vikings, the way the teams were last year, should be a pretty good game. Think of Dallas. Always Dallas gets a ton of ratings. And the Commanders. I mean, look what the Commanders were last year. And that's not really the case. None of these teams, only one team two teams have one team is in the playoffs. The other team has a slight chance in Detroit, which you're not going to see happen. And the rest of them are eliminated. So that's why I was like, you know what? We're not going to pick that. It's not worth it. So we'll do Rockets versus Lakers and then the Timberwolves versus Nuggets. And I'll tell you this, I don't want to spoil it, but we definitely have a difference of opinion in both of these games. So the standings will, without a doubt, change just because we're picking different teams in both games. I'm at 20-14 in the standings. Biggie is at 12-22. So I have an 8-game lead on him right now. So, if I can win both, I get a 10-game lead. If he wins both, he cuts that to 6. So this is a big swing week. And you got to keep in mind the CFP, when that's all said and done, middle of January, that will be a 3-game swing in the standings as well. So a lot to be thought out before these standings when pick'em will be over, which we haven't decided exactly when we want to end yet. We may just go honestly until June, which is when we started together, June to June, see who can do the best in the standings, and then we'll reset. We'll see what happens. That's probably what the plan will be. But let's start with the NFL like we normally do. DK Metcalf suspended for 2 games without pay after his altercation with the fan in Detroit against the Lions, of course. Metcalf appealed. I put not announced yet, but it was announced. He appealed and was denied. So he'll be gone for 2 games for the Steelers. So, they are not locked in the postseason yet, but they probably will be after this weekend, I would assume. Ravens are playing the Packers. They may not have Lamar, so that game he could be out for, and the Steelers might clinch the division before they even play on Sunday. But then they play the Browns, which I think will be a tough game, just in terms of divisional opponent on the road. No Metcalf now, but I think either way, the Steelers will get one of those things to go their way, and they will win the division and be in the playoffs. So Metcalf will not be available, hypothetically, until the wild card round for Pittsburgh, which kind of hurts them a little bit. And, he had a chance at 1,000 yards, doesn't get that. I know his game checks have been taken away. There was something else saying he had like a $45 million, like something connected to bonuses. That's now taken away because I guess it was in the contract, suspensions and stuff like that. And so he's not, I don't know exactly what the whole story was there, why he did that in the middle of the game. I'm not sure if the fans said anything. I'm not taking sides, but, taking sides, you could, but I don't think that's the way to go here. We need to know the whole story first before we do that, or if we do that. But Metcalf, he's suspended. Let's put it that way. Out for the last 2 games of the regular season, and the Steelers will probably be in the postseason. But what if not? What if they don't? Then he doesn't play the rest of the year for Pittsburgh. So you got to keep that in mind. Other NFL news: we got J.J. McCarthy out with a fracture in his hand. This is the second time he's been injured this year. Obviously, we know what happened to him last year, so he's a little bit injury prone so far since he's came into the NFL. JJ was doing pretty well the last 2 games before he got injured against the Giants on Sunday, and his rookie year now will pretty much end. I know he's not playing on Christmas, and why even risk it for Week 18 at this point? He'll probably be out then as well with that hand injury. So J.J. McCarthy's rookie year pretty much all said and done there. Up and down. I want to pull up his his numbers just to, so we can dive into it a little bit more. But for the most part, he had a few good games and he would kind of go back down. He would have a few good games and he would kind of go back down. So there was a lot going on for JJ McCarthy, throughout the year. This is a guy that didn't even get to play his rookie year because he got injured. So it was a tough battle for JJ McCarthy. And let's get the stats here. So, he finished the year. He played 9 games. He was injured in a few of those. More picks than touchdowns. Never want that. He had 11 touchdowns and 12 picks, 1,400 yards passing. And running, he was actually not too bad. I think he ran a little more than he ever has. 174 rushing yards in 9 games on 35 carries. So he averaged 5 yards per run as a quarterback. What do you mean? When you're not the fastest, it's pretty good. But yeah, JJ McCarthy pretty much ended his rookie year and needs to get in the lab. Only completed, the big number I'm catching here is 57% of his passes were completed. That's not a good number. That's not a good number at all. And JJ needs to work on some things, and hopefully year 3, which is pretty much his year 2, becomes better for him. I wouldn't be shocked if Minnesota goes out and finds a new quarterback. Joe Burrow in Cincinnati is not happy. I could see Minnesota. Going, you know what? We don't want JJ anymore. It doesn't seem like he's going to develop. Let's go put all of our eggs in one basket, and JJ McCarthy will be shipped out if that's the case. But we'll see what happens with that. In terms of the Pro Bowl, that's another little bit of news we have here, which I know no one really cares about, and I honestly don't care about it either. The Pro Bowl is probably one of the most useless things in all of football. That's how I feel about it. But the Ravens, Broncos, 49ers, and Seahawks have 6 Pro Bowlers, while the Eagles, Cowboys, Lions, and Chargers are sending 5. So that's about 8 teams right there sending a majority of the Pro Bowlers. There was 3 teams that were left out. I know the Jets were one of them. Probably should have one of the special team spots, but when you don't win games and you don't play well and stuff like that, you're not going to get rewarded. But yeah, I think the Jets could have. I'll talk about that later, but they could have, sent one of the special teams units, someone there, because the special teams has been the only good part of their team. Nick Folk could have made it. I know Austin McNamara has been pretty good. Isaiah Williams, really good returner. He got cut. Great story. He got cut. Worked his way back on the practice squad. They elevated him, and he's been really good since then. So unfortunate, but yeah, those teams have sent Ravens, Broncos, 49ers, and Seahawks have 6. And then the Eagles, Cowboys, and Lions have 5 Pro Bowlers each around the league. So let's recap Week 16, which was an eventful week. Games on Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, and of course last night. So we had 4 days of football this past, extension of the weekend a little bit. But let's go back to Thursday. Probably the game of the year. Seahawks beat the Rams 38-37 in an overtime win. Seattle, down 30-14 in the fourth quarter. Didn't look like they had a chance. And they stormed back because Rashid Shaheed goes crazy, helping Sam Darnold in the offense start with really close field position. Seahawks tied the game up on a bizarre play as well. Sam Darnold, was getting pressured. He threw the ball backwards, initially called incomplete. Charbonnet picked it up. He just picked it up like you're playing in the street. Someone throws the ball on the ground, you're picking up to try to bring it back. As he picks the ball up, he's in the end zone pretty much. So, go figure, but he got the 2-point conversion for that after review. That tied it at that point. And then Seahawks, go to overtime. Rams score pretty quickly. Seahawks then score as well. And then they go for the 2 points at the end of the game. And, I loved it. I loved that at that point. You got to see it as this. There was a little time left. Rams are, not the Seahawks defense was not stopping anybody. And then also, Seattle, they said scenarios in terms of, seeding. If they tied with the Rams, it would have been the same thing as if the game wasn't played. So they were like, you know what? We're either a tie doesn't help. A tie is pretty much a loss. So let's just go for the win. They go for the win and they get it. And Sam Darnold, I know he's 14-3 last year. He's 12-3 this year, but I think this is his first, since his resurrection of his career since last year. This is probably his first, big boy, big time win. And Seahawks is scary, man. But I think the Rams are just as good. And I know the 49ers will talk about them. I think they're just as good as well. And the 1 seed is still up for grabs for anybody to get. And in my opinion, I think the Rams and the 49ers are actually a better team than Seattle. I know Seattle has a better record, but I think those 2 teams are actually better. But we'll see what happens. Then let's go to Saturday, where we had the Eagles beating the Commanders 29-18. Eagles dominated this game. Mariota was in the first half was close, And then, the Eagles broke it open. Mariota got injured. They had to put in Josh Johnson. The Commanders have been banged up all year, and it showed. They had a lot of different things going on, and Eagles took care of business, became the NFC East champs for back-to-back years, which hasn't happened in like 20-something years. They showed it during the game. It's usually the Cowboys, the Eagles, the Giants, of course, were in there. Commanders were in there at some points, but never a team winning it in back-to-back years, and the Eagles have done that this year. Then the Packers, that was another, that could be another candidate for the game of the year. Bears beat the Packers 22-16. This was a 16-6 game at the end of the fourth quarter. What a game. I mean, the Bears hit a long field goal. Then they get the onside kick. Someone got hurt on that play from the Packers, and he was unable to return. I remember that. And then the Bears, as they're down 7, they score a game-tying touchdown to a guy that, he said he was homeless last year. Goes from homeless to a hero within a year for the Bears. He tied up the game. They go to overtime. Then DJ Moore, Caleb Williams throws a bomb to DJ Moore. He catches it, and the Bears win. And right now, the Bears have a stronghold on the division. I think if they win this week, I believe, or some things have to happen, I think the Packers can lose a bunch of stuff. But they're in a driver's seat. Let's put it that way. They are in a driver's seat to win. So the Bears, listen, this is what I'm saying. Any Jeff fans watching, any Jeff fans I always talk to, you got to stop. It's going to take multiple years. It's going to take multiple years. Over the past 2 years, there's been a ton of teams that go out there and they figure it out within a year. Commanders last year, they had as many losses as the Jets do this year. And I'm going on a little binge here, but it's the truth. It is the truth. This is a team, Commanders. They 14 losses to 13 wins, whatever the case was. Jaguars this year, terrible team last year. The Jets even beat them, later in the year last year. And that's another team. Broncos, not really, they haven't been that great over the years, and they've continued to get better in terms of increasing the wins by a lot. So this is not the Bears, like I just said. There's a lot of teams that are able to just flip the switch, and a quarterback and a coach make a big difference. And right now, the Jets obviously don't have the quarterback, but we don't even know if we have a coach. And I feel it's got to stop with the excuses. It's going to take a while. It's going to take a while. There's plenty of teams showing right now that you're able to. The Patriots, another one. They just keep piling in my head. There's a bunch of different scenarios where it doesn't matter that you had a rough year the year before. You can figure it out. And that's what I'm saying. I know I went on a little bit of a tangent there, but that was the point I wanted to make. Then let's go to Sunday, where the Bills beat the Browns 23-20. A little too close for comfort, honestly, for the Browns. For the Bills, I should say. They were, I'm not big into the spreads, but they were a 10.5-point favorite before Sunday's game, and they only won by 3. Browns had a chance at the end. The Bills defense stepped up. A few different things happened. Shador turned the ball over a couple of times. For the Bills, they need to get that pass game more consistent. I think for Josh Allen, he can carry a team in terms of, him doing a lot, but you need, in the playoffs, you need reliable, pass catching. You need to have a threat of the pass game. And James Cook is terrific, and he averages over 100 yards a game and stuff like that. Great running back, but you need more. And I think that Josh Allen, and the receivers aren't getting on the same page. There's a lot of different guys in the lineup, I should say, even from 8 weeks ago. It's a different group of receivers in the game. Shakir's really the only constant. Dalton Kincaid's been in and out of the lineup. They put Brandon Cooks in there. Shavers, benching Keon Coleman. A lot going on for Buffalo. Gabe Davis is in and out of the lineup. There's a lot going on there, but at least for Buffalo, they're able to get the win. And they're trying to gun for that, that number 5 seed, which is going to be a little tough, but they could do it. Chargers, who are the competition for the Bills right now for that 5 seed, they beat Dallas 34-17. So Dallas was eliminated going into Sunday's game. And you know what? They kind of played like they were eliminated. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. They didn't play too well. Dallas's defense, once again, struggling. They have some injuries now. Quinnen Williams, I know, was out as well. Herbert looked really comfortable. 300 yards. Marion Hampton getting back in the mix a little bit. That's good for LA. And they got a big couple of weeks coming up. They got the Houston Texans Saturday, and then they have the Broncos Sunday, the Sunday after. The Chargers could be the 1 seed. So they shouldn't be taking anything lightly right now. They can go, if they win out, they become the number 1 seed in the AFC. And they're a very scary team when they're healthy. And they haven't really been healthy all that much this year. So that's good for them. Titans beat the Chiefs 26-9. For the first time in probably 15 years, I would say, for Kansas City. They know how it feels to be a Jets fan. When you watch an offense that can barely even score one touchdown, they didn't even score a touchdown. Gardner Minshew in the second quarter got hurt, but even before that, he wasn't playing well. He's injured. Then they put in Chris Aludikin or something like that. I don't even know how to say his name. I never even heard of him, to be honest with you, before the game, when he went in. And he didn't play too well, got sacked a ton. Chiefs will lose the last two games. So, they got Denver Christmas night, which we'll get to, and then the Raiders the week after, and the Chiefs are a mess. It kind of expected when Mahomes went down. They put a ton of guys on the IR along with him. So the Chiefs aren't really, trying to win these games. Then Cincinnati beat Miami 45-21. Joe Burrow looked excellent, 4 touchdowns, over 300 yards. Quinn Ewers did not look great. I'm not sure if they're going to continue to ride it out with him or maybe give Zach Wilson a shot. I'm not too sure exactly what they're going to do with that. We'll see, but Miami definitely will need a quarterback, and they will be in the market for a quarterback because you're not benching Tua to bring him back and start next year. I don't think that's going to be the case, especially with McDaniel looking like he's going to stay. Saints beat the Jets 29-6. It was a 9-6 game at the half. 20 unanswered points from New Orleans. Tyler Shuck has been, he's been pretty good. He's been actually improving. He's 4-3 as a starter. Saints are on a 3-game winning streak with the Titans and the Falcons to, finish out the year. So, they're not really that bad, honestly. They're 5-10. And I remember when I talked about the Saints earlier before the season even started, I'm like, yeah, they're going to be one of the worst teams in the league. And they're actually not. They're actually not bad. The roster is not too great, but they actually have some players there. But we'll see. We'll see what the Saints do. In the offseason, at least they know, all right, I think we have a quarterback. We can go from there. And when you have the quarterback, I've been saying this, you can go and, he covers up some holes on your team, but you're able to, not worry about that and focus on every other position and get better at it. Then the Vikings beat the Giants 16-13. This was an atrocious game. Giants had probably 5 different chances to win, similar to what they had against the Commanders last week. Have a chance, and you don't do it. And just shows that the Giants are incompetent in terms of the coaching staff. But for Jackson Dart, he hasn't looked like he's getting better since he's come back from injury. I'll tell you that. I don't know if it's the coaching staff limiting him. They didn't throw a pass until like 3 minutes left in the second quarter. So that's definitely part of the coaching staff. But he needs to show improvement over these last 2 games because he didn't. Ever since he got hurt, Dable fired, whatever. Ever since he's come back, he has not been the same player he was before that. So they need to hope that they're not ruining him, and they need the season to end and move on. And then, like I said, with the Vikings, JJ McCarthy got hurt. They brought in Max Brosmer, who will start this week. Panthers beat the Bucks 23-20. That was one of the games we picked last week. Panthers are in first place, at least for now. They do play each other again in week 18. But if the Panthers win this week, the Bucks lose. They win the division, and the Panthers play the Seahawks, which will be a tough game. And the Bucks have the Dolphins, so I would expect the Bucks to win and give themselves a chance in week 18. But still, it's going to be a terrific week 18 matchup. But this is a great game as well. Bucks had a chance of tying that one up late. Miscommunication, and Mike Evans and Baker Mayfield were not on the same page, and they lost. The Bucks are like 1-7 in their last 8 games. I'm not sure what happened with them, or 1-6, something like that in their last 7 games. I don't know what happened. 1 win since the bye week. It looks like they're not on the same page, and they got weapons, they got players, and they're just not. They're not putting it together right now, which is unfortunate. Jacksonville beat the Broncos 34-20. This is a statement game for Jacksonville, showing that they had a good record. They were 10-4 coming into the game, but how much can we buy stock into that? It's Jacksonville. What do they really do in the postseason? And then they go out there and beat the number 1 team on the road. That's a big boy win for Jacksonville and Liam Cohen. Trevor Lawrence looked great. This is a guy that coming into the year didn't know if he was going to be part of the plans of the future for Jacksonville. I think those questions have been answered. Liam Cohen and Trevor Lawrence seems like they've bonded a lot more than they ever have, in terms of the beginning of the year. So Jacksonville's on the up right now, and they have a chance of winning that division. Houston is breathing down their neck, but I think that Jacksonville will be okay. Then the Falcons beat the Cardinals 26-19. This game had no meaning on anything, but Kirk Cousins probably playing himself into a potential, bridge quarterback situation next year. Maybe start for a bad team that's not looking to win that much, but he's been playing pretty well. Steelers beat the Lions 29-24. This was a crazy game. Steelers running backs took over. At the end of the game, Amon-Ra St. Brown got called for the pass interference, but he also scored a touchdown. That got called back because of the penalty. A lot happened in that game, and Pittsburgh putting themselves in the driver's seat with that one, which I don't think a lot of people thought they would win that game. I didn't think they were going to win that game. Clearly, I didn't pick them, in the pick them last week. But Steelers are getting hot at the right time, and I'll talk about them, throughout the show. And I know we have a few Steeler fans that watch us, but yeah, I think that the Steelers are getting hot at the right time. 3-0 in December. Aaron Rodgers playing pretty well lately. I think he's averaging like way over 200 yards per game in the last 3 games, keeping the ball, taking care of the football. A lot of different things are going right for the Steelers right now, which for me, it pains me to watch Aaron Rodgers having success on another team after what happened with the Jets. But, it is what it is. And I think that the Pittsburgh Steelers, if they can play good football consistently, you've seen what they can do. They can beat anybody. They can play with anybody, but they just haven't been consistent all year. And 9-6 record, that's funny. Not consistent. Imagine if they were, what their record would be. Then Houston beat the Raiders 23-21. Very, very rough game for Houston. They should not be proud of this win at all. Raiders, they're probably they are the worst team in the league, I think. We'll see what happens this week with the Raiders and the Giants. But yeah, Houston, they got the win, but they shouldn't be proud of that, especially with their next matchup. Then the Patriots beat the Ravens 28-24, setting themselves up for a win this week, and they win the division, the AFC East, which they will win this week. But yeah, they were down 10 points, score a couple of touchdowns or whatever the case was, and they win. Drake May threw for 380 yards. He looks extremely confident in every throw he's going to make. He just knows, yeah, I'm going to put this ball up there. My guy's going to catch it, and I'm going to drop it right in the bucket for him to get. And right now, Drake May, probably one of the hottest quarterbacks in the league as well. And they bounced back from the loss against Buffalo, which I said it was going to happen. I said I don't think that they're going to be able to, beat them twice. In the Buffalo veteran, the veteran presence, they've been in the postseason, like games in the postseason, of course. I don't think the Patriots are ready for that. But a loss like that can get you ready, for later in the year, which I think for New England, they're going to be fine. They got the Jets and I think Miami at the end of the year. They should win those 2 games easily and then go into the playoffs with 14 wins and a chance at the 1 seed again. So, they did lose that game, lost the 1 seed, but now them and Denver are tied again. Denver has a little bit of a tough game in week 18. Then Monday night, which was last night, 49ers beat the Colts 48-27. Brock Purdy threw for 5 touchdowns. George Kittle, got injured, but he looked really good. Christian McCaffrey looked good. Phillip Rivers played, he played pretty damn good for a guy who was on the shelf for 5 years, but, the Colts defense not looking good. Colts have lost 5 in a row. They have not been playing good football at all, and, they're in danger of them, they're going to miss the playoffs. It's probably at this point. But the QB who impressed me the most. So, this is a guy that I've been talking about a lot this year, but it's Caleb Williams. I said, what are you going to do? I said it last week, or Biggie said it, I should say. What is he going to do in the bright lights against a divisional opponent you just lost to? He balled out. He had 2 touchdowns, 250 yards, and won in the game. This is a game that last year the Bears are not winning this game. I know it's part of the coaching. The coaching does a huge part for that. But, I mean, come on. Caleb Williams, man, he is balling out right now for a Chicago team that's playing pretty good football. Let's preview Week 17 where, we have the 3 Christmas games. This is the last Thursday slate, of course, of the year. So we got 3 Thursday games, 2 Saturday games, Sunday, and then a Monday night as well. Let's do it. Cowboys versus Commanders. These games are on Netflix. The first 2 games are on Netflix Christmas Day. Cowboys at Commanders. Detroit Lions at Vikings at 4:30, also on Netflix. And then the Broncos versus Chiefs, 8:15 on Prime Video. No Mahomes, none of that. So none of these games are really that exciting. But turn to Saturday. Texans versus Chargers. Huge game. This is a matchup of the 5 and 7 seed. Both of these teams are also 1 game out of the division. So, I mean, either one of these teams wins, that can help them propel them, into a better chance at winning the division. And a team that loses, Houston loses, they're probably going to be locked into the 7 seed if they lose this game this week. And then the Ravens versus the Packers. Ravens are playing for their season. At least what the Ravens have to do, they have to win their games. That's the number one thing. They have to win. And if they don't win, they're eliminated. If they do win, then at least they hold out some hope until Sunday where the Steelers play. And, like I said before when I opened the show, no Metcalf, things like that. That can hurt the Steelers a little bit. I'm sure can. And for the Ravens, yeah, you're gonna have to if you gotta hope you can win. You have to hope Lamar plays. You have to a lot of things have to go right for the Ravens at this point. And the Packers are holding on to that last seed right now. They lost 2 in a row. Don't even know if Jordan Love or Malik Willis is gonna play at this point. So we got to keep an eye on that as well. A lot of different things going on. But yeah, Ravens versus Packers Saturday night. Then Sunday, we have the Arizona Cardinals versus Cincinnati Bengals. Game that doesn't mean anything once again. Steelers versus Browns. Of course, Steelers win their division champs. Saints versus Titans, another meaningless game, but the Saints look like they're trying to build something. Jacksonville versus Indianapolis. Colts lose, they're eliminated. Jacksonville, they got to hold on to first place. It will be a tough game, I think, just because, division, like I always say, and Phillip Rivers, you got to get one win at least coming out of retirement. Then Tampa Bay versus Miami. Miami, of course, is out there dead and buried, but the Bucks got to win the game, have to win this game. Then the Patriots versus the Jets. Patriots win, they win a division. I'll be in attendance for that game. Seattle versus Carolina. Seattle trying to hold on to the 1 seed. Carolina, they win and the Bucks lose, they win a division. If they win, they continue to hold that 1-game lead. Then the Giants at the Raiders. This has a lot to do with the first pick of the draft because both teams are 2-13 as we talk tonight. Then the Eagles versus the Bills, two teams that are jockeying for positioning in the playoffs. Eagles did win a division already, but they're trying to improve seeding a little bit. Sunday night, Bears versus 49ers is going to be a really good game. I'm very excited for this one. I want to see what Caleb Williams can do again. I want to see what you can do on prime time once again. And then with the 49ers, they're hot right now. They win their last 2 games. They're the number 1 seed. So a lot to keep out for that one. And then Monday night, Rams versus Falcons. Rams lost, of course, to Seattle last week. They're in the wild card situation now, but they should win this game. I know Kirk Cousins is playing pretty good, but I think the Rams are gonna go out there and win this game. But team who will be the number 1 seed? Let's do our standings update. And of course, my iPad has to glitch out on me a little bit. But let's do our standings update, and then we'll move to the MLB. So standings update, we got playoff standings, of course, because we got 2 weeks left in the regular season. I don't think anyone cares about other things besides that. But I wish my iPad cooperated with me before. My apologies. All right, here we go. Number 1 seed in the AFC, Denver Broncos at 12-3. Patriots are your number 1 are your number 2 seed at 12-3. Broncos have the tiebreaker over some whatever. I'm not even going to dive into that. Jaguars are 11-4 as your 3 seed. So Jacksonville is an outside chance. They're 1 game out from those 2 teams, and they have the tiebreaker, of course, over Denver. So if they tied records, Jacksonville would actually be ahead of them. Then the Steelers are 9-6 as your number 4 seed. Chargers are 11-4 as your 5 seed. Bills 11-4 as your 6 seed, and Houston 10-5 as your 7 seed. Then the 2 teams in the hunt, Colts at 8-7. So they're going to need to win their last 2 games and have to hope one of those teams in the middle. Actually, they're going to have to hope for the Texans to lose out, and they went out. So that's probably not going to happen. And then the Ravens are the only other team that has a chance there. It's 7-8. They need their only chances of division, so they can't even be a wild card. And we'll see. We'll see what happens with Baltimore. Then the NFC. Actually, let's do this. Denver would have the bye. Patriots would play Houston. Jacksonville would play Buffalo, and Pittsburgh would play the Chargers. So there'll be a rematch there of the Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Chargers, which didn't go so well for Pittsburgh the first time around. Then let's go to the NFC, where we have Seattle as your number 1 seed at 12-3. Bears 11-4 as your 2 seed. Eagles 10-5 as your 3 seed. Then we have the Panthers 8-7 as your 4 seed. 49ers at 11-4 as your 5 seed. Rams 11-4 as your 6 seed, and the Packers 9-5-1 as your 7 seed. So pretty much Seattle right now, yeah, they have the 1 seed, but 49ers and the Rams both have a chance at it. More so the 49ers. If they win their last 2 games, which is again one of them is against Seattle in Week 18, they will be the 1 seed. Bears have a chance at the 1 seed. Eagles outside chance, but I don't see that happening. And Carolina, of course, only they win the division. They're in. Bucks, Lions and Bucks are in the hunt, but the Lions need a lot to go right. They would need to go 10-7, and then they would need the Packers to lose their last 2 games, and they would get in over that half a point situation. So we'll see. Half a win, whatever you want to call it. We'll see what happens with that. But yeah, the team who could be the 1 seed in the NFC, to me, I think it's actually going to be the 49ers. They play the Bears this week. I think they can beat them. I like the matchup. And then they play the Seahawks. And, I said Sam Darnold did get his big win in terms of, last week. But I think that he's not ready to actually play postseason football. And week 18, if you're going for the 1 seed, you saw what happened to him last year when they tried to get that number 1 seed. They did not play well in that game. So I think that that's what's going to happen. I think 49ers are going to get the 1 seed. Let's go to the MLB where Bryce Harper is committed to play for Team USA after they had a hole at first base. So you saw the roster coming together. Pitching staff looks great. Lineup looks good, but you see that one empty spot. Who's going to play first base for this team? And they go big name hunting once again. Bryce Harper will play first base for Team USA. You know how good he is. He's a lefty bat, all the good stuff that comes with that. So Bryce will be the man at first base for Team USA. Other MLB news, Pirates signed Ryan O'Hearn to a 2-year deal after they traded for Brandon Lau last week. So it seems like a little makeover for the Pirates on the right side of that infield, bringing in some, not superstars, but they're actually bringing in some players, O'Hearn and Brandon Lau, 2 good players for the Pirates. Jeff McNeil traded to the, I don't even know what you call them, Vegas A's at this point, right? Jeff McNeil, a guy, let's talk about him. This is a guy that, was very well liked when he first came up. He was a guy that was, always doing something right. He can play a ton of positions. He always made contact, never struck out. That was in the beginning of his Mets tenure. And I think ever since then, he won a batting title. Attitude was never a good thing. That was not a good trait of Jeff McNeil's, let's put it that way. And that's what you see on TV. If you're seeing a guy with a very poor attitude live on TV, you can only imagine what's going on behind, closed doors. And I think, reports keep coming out the Mets were not a team that had a good clubhouse. I mean, I could see it now. The way you're shipping guys out left and right. And I think that, I don't think Alonso was a problem. I don't think Nimmo was a problem. I don't think Diaz was a problem. But McNeil was definitely a problem. And the way the trade, what happened, the parts of it, the return shows you they didn't want to know part of him anymore, and they were willing to take whatever they had to get him out. And they paid part of his salary to get him to the A's, and they also only got back a rookie ball pitcher. And this is a Jeff McNeil guy. He'll put up some nice numbers for you. I'm not saying he's an all-star because he has been, but he's not anymore. But he can be a serviceable player. There's nothing wrong with what he can bring to you, but the attitude is just you can't have it. You cannot have it, especially if you're fighting with teammates. Always looks miserable, throwing the helmet and stuff like that. It's never going to do anything for you by doing that stuff. And McNeil has been traded to the A's, and the Met fans have not been happy with the way the offseason has went. I'll tell you that. But I think that we can all agree Jeff McNeil being traded is not a bad thing. Definitely not a bad thing at all. Then Wilson Contreras, he's traded from the Cardinals to the Red Sox. So the Red Sox get they were looking for a first base solution all of last year. They brought in Nathaniel Lowe. They tried all different things. They were trying Christian Campbell at first base at some points, a lot of different, options. But I think that Wilson Contreras will be a nice option for Boston, who should be a really good team this year. I'm high on them. I know it's still a ton to go in the in the offseason, but I think that this is a good move for a team that you have a ton of young players. Why not bring in a veteran? You can do that. You can afford to look for some leadership and also, talented players. Pretty good. Then Manutaka Murakami signs with the White Sox. So I don't think anybody expected this, honestly, but it didn't seem like he had a big market this year. So I don't know. He only signed a 2-year deal. He's gonna be back on the market in a couple of years, but I think he just wanted to play in the MLB this year. And was like, you know what, I'll take whatever is given to me. And he said, yeah, I know we haven't had there's been no success here, pretty much at all. But Murakami will go to the White Sox on a 2-year, $24 million deal. Let's go to the NBA where Draymond Green and Steve Kerr got after it last night. Argument back and forth. Didn't look like it was a good thing, and it wasn't, because the way they talked in the post game and all the stuff like that went down, they didn't look like it was a a good exchange. Steve Kerr, going at it with telling Draymond Green you didn't do something right. Draymond Green, I guess, didn't like it, so he went back at him. And the last 20 minutes of the game, Draymond Green decided, you know what, I'm not playing anymore. And he went to the locker rooms, went in the locker room to the end of the third quarter, then came out for the fourth quarter, but didn't even get back in the game. And Steve Kerr said, no, I wouldn't have put him back in the game anyway. So I don't know what is going on with that, but Draymond Green was also ejected in his previous game. So a lot going on with Draymond Green, which is the usual with him. It's no surprise at this point. He always has something going on. And yeah, he was ejected in the previous game. Then other NBA news: Con Kneppel of the Hornets, fastest player to hit 100 threes in his NBA career. I mean, the guy has played 29 games and has 100 threes. He's got a bright future ahead. Then the Christmas schedule. I know Christmas is a big thing for the NBA, so let's talk about it. Cavs versus Knicks will be your first game. Christmas, noon start as usual. Knicks are always locked into that. Spurs versus Thunder, rematch of the NBA Cup semifinal where the Spurs beat them, so the Thunder look for revenge. Mavericks versus Warriors. Mavericks have been down. Warriors are playing 500 basketball. Rockets versus Lakers, two good teams right now. I like the way the Rockets have been playing, and the Lakers were good even without LeBron. Now they're playing, good basketball with them. And then Timberwolves versus Nuggets, another two really good teams in the Western Conference. I know we'll talk about them when you get to how you're doing, but the Knicks are playing the Timberwolves right now. Timberwolves are actually up 5 points, 33-28, which I didn't expect because the Knicks don't have Jalen Brunson tonight. So that's nice that they're actually in the game. So we'll see what happens with that. But let's do NBA standings update, and then we'll slide to the NHL and do a couple of bits of news in the NHL standings as well. Eastern Conference, we have the Detroit Pistons at 23-6. We have the New York Knicks at 20-8. We have the Boston Celtics at 18-11. So you got the Knicks gunning for the Pistons. Celtics, trying to get to the Knicks. But it seems like those top two teams will be there, and the rest will fall into place after that. 76ers at 16-11. Raptors at 17-13. Magic at 16-13. Cavs are in the 7th seed. Cavs have not been that good this year. They're at 16-14. Heat at 15-14. Hawks 15-15. And then the Chicago Bulls at 13-15. So, after the five to 9 seed, 5 to 10 seed, all separated by 3 games. There's a lot going on there. I would expect those teams to keep sliding up and down the standings. And then outside looking in, we have the Milwaukee Bucks at 11-18. Charlotte Hornets at 9-20. Nets at 8-19. They've actually been winning a few games lately. I'm not gonna lie. I have to admit they actually been playing better lately. And then you got the Pacers at 6-23, and then you have the Wizards at 5-22. So the rest of the East is not good. The East is overall not that great this year. We expected it to be down. Knicks versus Pistons looking like it could be the NBA Eastern Conference Final. I would expect the Knicks to be there, but maybe someone else can step up to go, and face the Knicks. Let's go to the Western Conference where we had the Thunder at 26-3. So they lost 2 in a row. They lost that semifinal game in the NBA Cup. They lost the game after that, and then they finally got back in the win column, but still they're playing great. Spurs at 21-7. So the top 2 teams in the West, according to tonight, will go in on Christmas Day and face each other. Then you have the Denver Nuggets at 21-7 as well. So they're tied with the Spurs. Then you got the Lakers at 19-8. Timberwolves 19-10, and the Rockets at 17-9. So a lot going on there. Then the Suns at 15-13. You got the Golden State Warriors at dead even at 500, 15-15. Grizzlies 13-16, and the Trailblazers at 12-17. Then the Mavericks 11-19. You got the Jazz at 10-18. You got the Pelicans at 8-22. Clippers 7-21, and the Kings at 7-22. So same thing really. Top heavy in both conferences. West is definitely have more depth. Those top 6 teams, any of those guys can beat each other besides the Thunder. But Thunder look like they can be beat a little bit now. And then there's a little bit of a drop off with the Suns and the rest of those playing teams. And then the East only looks like there's 2 teams. Then let's go to the NHL where we got Sidney Crosby becomes the all-time leading scorer for the Pittsburgh Penguins, passing Mario Lemieux. So I know someone I didn't get to watch play, but I've heard a lot about. Pretty good company, Sidney Crosby's, and he's still going. Doesn't look like he's slowing down anytime lately. Then we got other NHL news. Jack Hughes scores in his return for the Devils. So the Devils are, pretty much middle of the pack right now in terms of playoff positioning and stuff like that. And they finally got their man back, Jack Hughes, who's of course dynamic, and he was out for 4 weeks. That's good for him. And let's do our standings update of the NHL. Eastern Conference will start first. We got the Detroit Red Wings in first place still, 21, 13, and 3 with 45 points. We got the Lightning at 20, 13, and 3 with 43 points. We got the Canadians at 19, 12, and 5 with 43 points. We got the Bruins at 20, 16, and 1 with 41 points. We got the Panthers at 19, 14, and 2 with 40 points. We got the Senators at 18, 13, and 4 with 40 points. We got the Sabres 17, 14, and 4 with 38 points. And then we got the Maple Leafs 16, 15, and 5 with 37 points. Buffalo is on a 6-game winning streak. I wanted to mention that. I couldn't think of the team right away. I was like, yeah, Buffalo. Buffalo Sabres, man. They're playing really good hockey right now. 6-game winning streak is huge for them. Ottawa's on a 4-game winning streak. And the from Detroit all the way down to Ottawa right now, 5 points separate all those teams in the division. So a pretty good division going in the Atlantic right now. Then the Metro, where we got the Hurricanes still in first place. Looks like they're going to be the first place team to go out, the rest of the year. They're at 22, 10, and 3 with 47 points. Flyers playing pretty good hockey. They're at 18, 10, and 7 with 43 points. Capitals at 19, 12, and 5 with 43 points. You got the Islanders 19, 13, and 4 with 42 points. You got Devils 20, 15, and 1 with 41 points. You got the Rangers 18, 16, and 4 with 40 points. And then Penguins 15, 12, and 9 with 39 points. And then you got the Columbus Blue Jackets 15, 15, and 6 with 36 points. So Carolina at the top. And then it seems like a little bit of a drop-off, of course, from Carolina to the rest of the teams. But Philly, Capitals, Islanders, and Devils, to me, are all in that same category. I don't put the Rangers in there just because they're not playing good hockey this year at all. They also have at least 3 more games, mostly 2 games, more than everybody else. So that can hurt them, playing. They're not taking advantage of the points and then so many other games there. Western Conference, you got the Avalanche, 35 games played, 26, 2, and 7 with 59 points. The Avs, Dallas Stars, I was going to say Mavericks. So used to saying that 25, 7, and 5, 55 points. Wild, 22, 10, and 5 with 49 points. Mammoth, 18, 17, and 3 with 39 points. You got the Blues, 14, 16, and 8 with 36 points. Predators, 15, 16, and 4 with 34 points. Winnipeg Jets, 15, 17, and 3 with 33 points. And then you got the Blackhawks, 13, 16, and 6 with 32 points. So this division, it's the top 3 and everybody else. Avalanche, 59, Stars, 55, and Wild, 49. And then there's 10 points separating the rest there. So that division kind of seems like, it's going to be those 3 teams in the postseason and then everybody else. Then the Pacific Division, we have the Anaheim Ducks at 21, 14, and 2 with 44 points. Vegas Golden Knights 16, 8, and 10 with 42 points. They have a ton of, I've never seen that. All those overtime losses, crazy. Oilers 18, 13, and 6 with 42 points. Kings 15, 11, and 9 with 39 points. Then you got the San Jose Sharks 17, 16, and 3 with 37 points. Kraken 14, 14, and 6 with 34 points. Calgary 15, 17, and 4 with 34 points. And then you got the Vancouver Canucks 15, 18, and 3 with 33 points. So it's a close division. I know those last 3 teams are, they're not really in it. But from Anaheim to San Jose, 44 points, and then San Jose is 37. Those teams are pretty much in it. And if you want to get even closer, Kings are in 4th place. Anaheim, they're only 5 points out of 1st, and they're in 4th place. So, I mean, the NHL, besides the Central Division, very, very close still. It seems like it is separating by the week, though. It seems like it's trending that way, just based off of every time we talk about the NHL, what exactly the standings look like. But still, I mean, it's a lot of parity. Seems like it's across all sports, a lot of parity in the league. It doesn't seem like there's one, powerhouse team besides the Dodgers, I would say. But NHL seems like anybody can have it. NBA, I know the Thunder and the Avs are the best teams. Seems like everyone can have it. And then NFL, of course, anybody can have it this year. Then let's go to our last main topic before we hit how you doing Christmas movies and the pick 'em. And once again, if you have any favorite Christmas movies, throw them in the chat, and we'll get to those later on. Notre Dame will play BYU now after their games at USC has been put on pause for whatever reason. I'm not sure. I kind of expected this to happen the way Notre Dame act. Seem like teams are you know what? We're not going to play these guys. You know what? We're not going to play these guys. Everyone's going to agree on that. And Notre Dame will be playing BYU next year instead. Then we got other news. Let's check in on our bowl game updates. But from last Thursday, because I said every week we'll update the bowl games based off of when the day ends. But let's do it. Arkansas State won over Missouri State 34-28. I know Biggie would love to talk about these teams, so I'm doing it for him as well. Friday, Western Michigan won 42-6 over Kennesaw State. NC State also won 31-7 over Memphis. So those two games are non-competitive. Washington State, which this was yesterday, Monday night, they beat Utah State 34-21. Tuesday night, Tuesday earlier today, Louisville beat Toledo 27-22. And then Western Kentucky and Southern Miss are playing each other right now. So let's get an update on that game if my iPad can once again, cooperate with me. But we got one game going on now, another game later on. So bowl games on top of, the CFP, but a lot of the bowl games are going on at least one a day, pretty much. I know there's actually one or two tomorrow as well, but let's get to it. Yeah, tomorrow there's one, tonight as well, but let's see. I'm trying to see what the score. Western Kentucky versus Southern Miss. Southern Miss is up 16-13 in the fourth quarter, so at least that's a close game. Then let's do our CFP recap / scheduling thing. So Friday night, Bama beats Oklahoma 34-27. This is a game Oklahoma started out winning 17-0. Then they blew the lead. They give up 17 points. Alabama continues into the second half playing really, really well. Oklahoma scored at one point, but it didn't really mean anything. Then they try to kick a field goal with like 4 minutes left. They miss it. Then they try to kick another field goal with a few minutes after that. They miss it again to try to get it to a 7-point game to give themselves a chance. Unable to. Bama gets their revenge on Oklahoma. They win that game 34-24. Miami beats Texas A&M 10-3. I was out watching this game. This is a back and forth of mistakes. Miami's kicker, I think, missed three or four field goals. I don't even remember. I know it was at least three. He did hit one important one. Texas A&M got a field goal as well. Then Miami scores that late touchdown. Texas A&M had a chance of tying it, and then Marcel Reed threw a pick in the end zone, resulting in Texas A&M losing. So Miami will move on. Ole Miss beats Tulane 41-10. They played each other earlier in the year. It was not a contest. Once again, not a contest. I think they beat them 45-10 the first time, 41-10 this time. I just don't understand what the group of. They got to reevaluate and maybe let the group of five play their own playoff because they just don't belong with these teams. They're 0. I believe they are 0-3 now. 0-2. No, 0-2 because I think Boise State was the only team in it last year. 0-2. No, 0-3 because James Madison. Oregon beat James Madison 51-34. This is a blowout, and then it kind of seemed like JMU just got back into it a little bit at the end when Oregon pulled some players out of the game. And the upcoming schedule as a result of these games, we don't have a game until New Year's Eve, so we're not going to break down the matchups this week. We'll do that next week. But Miami is playing Ohio State New Year's Eve. Oregon versus Texas Tech will be the first game on January 1st, New Year's Day. Alabama versus Indiana will be the Rose Bowl second game. And then Ole Miss versus Georgia would be the nightcap. So Ole Miss taking on Georgia for the second time. They lost. That was their only loss of the year. Oregon obviously didn't play Texas Tech this year. Miami didn't play Ohio State. And Bama didn't play Indiana. But all should be really good, really good matchups. You guys, everyone, the brackets are out there. We'll put out there last week. We'll do an update next week before the games. But we'll dive into the matchups next week as well. Then how you doing? Let's do this one pretty quickly. I kind of touch upon my teams across the time, but let's do it anyway. Jets, they have their last two games. They're riding out the string here. It seems like they don't give a damn about winning a football game, which, listen, I feel like the front office may feel that way, but if you're a coach, you're a player, you're not going to do that because you put too much time and effort. So I am not a guy that believes in tanking. Yeah, you may get told who to play, and that can result in you losing, but it's not going to be, we're going to purposely lose this game. I don't see that. And playing someone like Brady Cook, who obviously shows he has nothing, is showing that you're not interested in winning games as he's starting this week, and he probably will start next week as well. Jets at 3-12. They had those couple of wins in the middle of, halfway through the year, and that little bit of a stretch there. But after that, not good football. Jets are riding out the string, like I said, Patriots and the Bills next week. With the Mets, they brought in Luke Weaver. After we talked last week, or maybe I was on. I think I did talk. Oh, yeah, no, I did because it was Wednesday. I just want to remember that. So they brought in Luke Weaver, whatever. Devin Williams, of course, here. Marcus Simeon. Still have a lot of work to do, and I don't know when they're going to start doing it, but they keep getting rid of players and signing players to minor league deals. That's about it. Every day you see a minor league signing, but you don't see any, major league signings. Then with the Knicks, Knicks are playing really good football right now. I like what I'm seeing from Jalen Brunson and the boys. I think that This is stuck in my ear. I'm sorry, guys. I got to get this out. Oh no. Here we go. My apologies. Oh, that would have been bad. With the Knicks, they're like I said, they're 20-8. They're playing good basketball tonight. Brunson is out, and OG Anunoby's out as well. They're down 46-34. I think they're playing every other night. It's very very hard to get a rest at this point, and they have to take advantage of it. So that's why they're doing what they're doing. And they're getting guys. They had Carl Anthony Towns and Josh Hart miss a game last week, and you're playing every other day. You have no rest. You have to be able to do it. You may you sound like, oh, you're sacrificing a game, you're sacrificing this. You kind of have to, when you're playing all those games and you have your eyes on the prize of something else. But just because they're sitting players doesn't mean they can't win the game. I know tonight's gonna be a tough one because the Timberwolves are a pretty good team, but still. And then Christmas Day, you got to go all out for that. That's got to be the game. Home crowd, Christmas Day, you got to win that one. So I can understand where they're coming from with that. Rangers up and down. They win a few games, they lose a few games. JT Miller and Adam Fox both hurt now, which is disappointing. They've been two of the better productive players for this team, and they're not available. St. John's, they won tonight against Harvard. They're at 8-4 now, but they just cannot get that big win, which is very disappointing. I may do some St. John streams in the future. Maybe, but I got to play better basketball for me to do that. Honestly, I don't want to waste anyone's time watching them if they're not going to play well. But let's do our top 5 Christmas movies, and if anyone also has them, drop them in the chat. For Biggie, he says Christmas Vacation is number 1. Elf is number 2. Fred Claus number 3. Miracle on 34th Street as number 4, and Jingle All the Way at number 5. So Biggie has Christmas Vacation at number 1. Elf as number 2, Fred Claus as number 3, Miracle on 34th Street as number 4, and then Jingle All the Way at number 5. I know Marty mentioned here about Home Alone 1 and 2. Yes, keep that in the back pocket because I'll give my top 5 now. Home Alone 2 is my number 1 when he's lost in New York. People may say, oh, it's the second one and it shouldn't be the best one. But I think it is. I like the fact that, for me being from New York, I walk past those places when he's by himself in the city. I understand. Well, I was like, oh, Kevin's in trouble. So I get that. So that's why I think I like that when I have more of a connection to Home Alone 2 than 1. But 1 is great. 1 is number 2. I mean, come on. Home Alone is the best series, movies, Christmas movies that they got. I love that. Christmas Vacation, number 3. The Griswolds, of course, that's a great movie. Trying to cut down the tree and all that stuff. It turns into a disaster every single time for them. It's really, really funny. Then the Santa Claus at number 4. This any of those movies are good, but I think the original is my favorite just because you get to see it for the first time. Tim Allen in action as Santa Claus, and then Elf. I can agree on that. Elf with Will Ferrell. Any movie he's in, it always results in something pretty good. So I have Home Alone 2 as my number 1, Home Alone 1 as my number 2. That can be a little confusing. Christmas Vacation at number 3, the Santa Claus at number 4, and the Elf at number 5. So Christmas a few days away. You're not doing anything. Maybe go out, go sit on the couch, relax, watch a couple of movies, especially tomorrow. I know this is a sports show, but there is no sports on tomorrow besides one college football game that no one's going to watch. I'm going to be honest. No one's going to watch it. So throw on some movies. I know I'm going to watch both Home Alones tomorrow if possible. Definitely one, but I would love to watch both. Even if not Home Alone, watch some Christmas movies, stay in the spirit for a couple of more days, and before you know it, it'll be Thursday and Christmas, and I'm sure whatever house you're at, if you watch our show, you'll be watching sports on Thursday, just because football, regardless of who's playing, I'm sure people have interest for other reasons in it as well. So people will watch football and basketball. Of course, if you're a Knicks fan, you will watch, and other reasons, and let's go to our pick 'em before we close this episode out. So I'm at 20-14. Biggie is at 12-22. So I got an 8-game lead. It kind of keeps expanding. I know Biggie's not here tonight, but yeah, I'm going to win first place. This week we have the Rockets versus the Lakers and the Timberwolves versus the Nuggets. So I'm going to go with the Rockets to win this game. Kevin Durant, I'm big on I felt even in the in the winter and stuff like that, getting Kevin Durant to Houston was big, just because, yeah, they have a really good young team. They're good. They're really, they were good last year. They have everything. They just don't have that veteran number one scorer. They go get Kevin Durant, and they have a pretty good record. And him versus Luka and LeBron on Christmas, I think the Rockets are going to win the game. And then Big E believes the Lakers will win the game. So maybe that's just because he has, he loves LeBron from his Cavalier days and stuff like that. But I think the Rockets will win, and Big E has the Lakers. Then for the night game, the last game of Christmas will be the Timberwolves versus the Nuggets. I'm going to take the Nuggets just because they're home, because I think this is a toss-up game, and Big E agrees he's going with the Timberwolves as, in terms of it being a toss-up game, just because both of these teams very good. Nuggets have, a 2-game record, slightly better, but still, I mean, both of these teams are really good. And I think the Nuggets, just because, like I said, they're home, that they're able to go out and get the win over the Timberwolves. So yeah, some housekeeping things here in terms of the show before I sign this one off. A little bit quicker when I'm by myself. An hour is good enough, just because I'm talking a lot. My apologies and stuff like that. But for the future weeks, so we will do next week. We will do next Tuesday, same thing, same time, maybe 7:30, in between 7:38. That time slot like we usually do. But we will do another regular stream like this. Come on, talk some sports before Wednesday and Thursday, which is New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. Then when that week wraps around, Monday night, I'm announcing it now, obviously for the first time, but I will make some announcements on the Instagram and the TikTok and all that good stuff. But we will do a Knicks live stream against Detroit, January 5th. They're probably still going to be the top 2 teams in another 2 weeks. I would expect them to be. If not, there will be 2 of the better teams in, of course, the Eastern Conference. So Knicks versus Pistons, that will be January 5th live stream. January 6th, we will do a regular show like this. And I'm trying to see when I can squeeze in. What I may do is a live stream of the football game Monday night. So, the wild card round is always that Monday night wild card game, whatever it is. Usually includes the 4 and the 5 seed of either conference. So could potentially be Steelers versus somebody, or Bucks versus Panthers versus somebody. So I think that would be a nice game to do. So we could potentially do that. Looking ahead a couple of weeks down the road, but I think that would be a nice one to do, because I've only done Knicks live streams so far. I would like to expand that a little bit. Like I mentioned about St. John's, I don't know if I want to do St. John's, just because they're not really playing great right now. But if they, pick it up and play really well in the Big East, I would be more than happy to do that. Of course, when the Mets start, we will do some Mets live streams along the way, because I think that will get the most reaction out of me, because I don't do Jets live streams, because I'm at half the games, and then when I am at the game, when I'm not at the game, I should say, I kind of don't want to get into that part of it. I let the Jets kind of breathe a little bit, and there's nothing much to talk about because they suck. So if they were good, yeah, I would do it. But yeah, let's keep those dates open. January 5th, we'll do Knicks versus Pistons. Day after, we'll do a regular show. Next Tuesday, we'll do a show as well. Then the week after that, let's potentially pencil in the wild card game that night on ESPN. It'll be a Monday night game of some sort, whoever is in it. Pencil that win potential with that one. But I just want to thank everyone for tuning into this quick episode 85. Keep following us on Instagram, TJ Productions as well. TJ Productions does a great job. Biggie does a really good stuff with his stuff. He's coming out with a show tomorrow night. I forget exactly what the title was. My apologies, but it's coming out tomorrow night at some point. So tune in for that whenever he reveals that. And I just want to thank everyone once again for supporting. Instagram, TikTok is on the bottom here before I sign off. Reels will be up throughout the week. We have a lot of good reels, Christmas theme and stuff like that. But yeah, signing off here. JD wants to wish you, that's me, Merry Christmas from all of JD's Empire Sports Talk. I know we have a few guests on there. They all wish their Merry Christmas and everything. Happy New Year, which we could say next week. To everyone out there, thanks for once again supporting us, and Merry Christmas to all.